Hello everyone, and welcome back to another week of PDH deck techs. I'm Joseph, and this week I'll be covering the Is It Guild, giving us red and blue colors. Our commander today is going to be Beamsplitter Mage. Now Beamsplitter Mage is a 2/2 Vidalcan wizard for a blue and a red that has whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Beamsplitter Mage, if you control one or more other creatures that spell could target, choose one of those creatures. Copy that spell, the copy targets the chosen creature. So, this is a spell copy effect on our commander that is incredibly powerful. However, when we take a second look at the ability, we realize there's several restrictions. First, the spell must target Beamsplitter. More so, it must target only Beamsplitter. So from there, we generate a spell copy, which can then only target another creature we control. So that cuts out any spell with multiple targets, such as Ghostly Flicker, as well as any spell we'd want to copy and hit an opponent's creature with, such as Unsummon. In this deck, those spells just won't work. This ability is very carefully throttled that we can only target our own creatures with these instants and sorceries. Now that's not to say we can't do very powerful things here. In fact, this deck becomes the perfect home for a spell type I've been ignoring for a very long time. Pump spells. So, what is our deck going to do? We're going to be swinging in with our commander and take advantage of our commander's ability to buff up not only him, but also any other creature that we want. We're going to be filling our deck with pump spells, so I like to go over some variations and particular ones that I really like. First, the straight pumps. There are a ton of instants and sorceries that give pump effects. For me, I select for either efficiency or for whether the pump spell grants an important keyword for combat, such as trample or first strike. So first up, we've got Brute Force, an instant for a red mana that has target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. That is just an incredible rate. You cannot beat +3/+3 for a single red mana at instant speed. Second, we've got polymorph effects like Startling Development, an instant for 1 and a blue that has until end of turn target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness for 4. It also has cycling for 1 mana. And finally, we have Sudden Breakthrough, an instant for 1 and a red that has target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. In addition, it has Create a Treasure token, which means that when we cast a copy of this, we're actually getting a fair amount of ramp out of this instant spell. Second, we have Evasive Pumps. We can cast these and make sure that not only our commander can swing in for damage, but also any other creature we want to swing with. So first we've got Stealth Mission, a sorcery for 2 and a blue that has put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. That creature can't be blocked this turn. So this is nice because in addition to the unblockable status, we also get those +1 counters on 2 creatures, and those will stick around, making all of our future attacks that much more powerful. In addition, we have Distortion Strike, a sorcery for a blue mana that has target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn and is unblockable this turn. It also has Rebound, so if you cast this spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. Now the important thing here is that the Rebound card is cast from exile. That means that it can trigger our commander's ability on the rebound, meaning we can get the full benefit of this spell twice. Finally, and most importantly, are the cantrips. Now normally cantrips are hand neutral because they replace themselves. But in our deck, we're getting copies of them, meaning that a simple cantrip becomes legitimate card advantage and card draw for our deck. So we've got cantrips that give us haste, like Expedite, we've got cantrips that give us evasion, like Shadow Rift, and we've got cantrips that give us a pump, like Suit Up. And with all of these pump effects, we're going to make sure that our creatures can become a dangerous threat at the drop of a hat. However, what creatures do we actually want to use to swing with? Now, it is very tempting to look at creatures with the heroic ability, such as a Crone Crusader. After all, we're going to be targeting them with a bunch of spells, right? Well, unfortunately, the spell we are casting is going to be hitting our commander. And then whatever will be hitting these other creatures will be copies, and because they're not cast, that won't trigger the heroic ability. So unfortunately, those creatures will not work for this deck. Instead, we're going to look at creatures that get benefits from casting instants and sorceries. For example, we've got Pyroceratops, a 2/3 elemental dinosaur for 3 and a red that has trample, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Pyroceratops. And we also have Burning Prophet, a 1/3 human wizard for 1 and a red that has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn, then scry 1. So both of these will get huge, either in the moment or over time, and Burning Prophet will even let us set up this top card of our library so we can dig for exactly what we need. There are also some other creatures we want to be swinging with. So we're going to be playing a lot of instants and sorceries, and we have to be careful we don't burn through all of our cards. So because of that, we have to make sure to supplement our card draw with creature effects. For example, we've got Hessian Thief, I think I'm pronouncing that right, a 1/3 human rogue for 2 and a blue that has Prowess, which is a bonus because whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And it also has, whenever this deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. In addition, we have Tandem Lookout, a 2/1 human scout for 2 and a blue that has Soul Bond. And as long as Tandem Lookout is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. And second, we're going to be looking at cards that can act as removal when they deal damage, like Mistblade Shinobi, a 1/1 human ninja for 2 and a blue that has Ninjutsu for blue mana, so whenever we're swinging in with an evasive creature, we can pay 1 blue and return an unblocked attacker we control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from our hand tapped and attacking. And whenever Mistblade Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. So this is going to be a bounce effect and can really slow down our opponent's tempo. In addition, we have Goblin Vandal, a 1/1 goblin for a red mana that has pay a red, destroy target artifact defending player controls. Goblin Vandal deals no combat damage this turn. Use this ability only if Goblin Vandal is attacking and unblocked and only once each turn. So we can use this in combination with an evasive effect to make sure that we are consistently removing our opponent's key artifacts. We can use these in combination with our evasive cantrips, but what if we don't have any of those in hand? How are we going to make sure that we get damage through? So for that, we're going to use creatures that can give evasion. For example, Mistford River Turtle, a 1/5 turtle for 3 and a blue that has whenever Mistford River Turtle attacks, another target attacking non-human creature cannot be blocked this turn. So this can support any non-human creature, which is going to be most of our deck and also includes our commanders. Other evasive granting creatures will trigger off of our spells, such as Goblin Battle Jester and Marrow Levitator. Goblin Battle Jester is a 2/2 goblin for 3 and a red that has whenever you cast a red spell, target creature can't block this turn. Marrow Levitator is a 2/3 merfolk wizard for 3 and a blue that has tap, target creature gains flying until end of turn. And it also has, whenever you cast a blue spell, you may untap Marrow Levitator. Since we are casting lots of instants and sorceries, these will get to trigger over and over again, helping our creatures get through. But one card that needs almost no support is Elusive Spellfist, a 1/3 human monk for 1 and a blue that has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Elusive Spellfist gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. So as soon as we cast any pump spell, this will become unblockable as well as increasing its own power, making it the perfect inclusion for this deck. And with all of these spells flying around, we've got to be sure to take advantage of them with burn effects such as Kessig Flamebreather, a 1/3 human shaman for 1 and a red that has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Kessig Flamebreather deals 1 damage to each opponent. I want to note this will actually pair extremely well with Tandem Lookout, since Tandem Lookout does not care about whether the damage dealt is combat or burn. In addition, we can take advantage of our Spellslinger Graveyard with Serpentine Curve, a sorcery for 3 and a blue that has create an 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 1 plus the total number of instants and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. So if we play this in mid or late game, we could easily get a creature with 5 to 10 counters on it coming basically out of the blue. Of course, this deck does depend on the commander staying in play. However, we cannot give our commander Shroud, as that would completely nullify his ability. So we've got some temporary protection cards, such as Dive Down and Teferi's Time Twist. Dive Down is an instant for a blue mana that has target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains Hex Proof until end of turn. Teferi's Time Twist is an instant for 1 in a blue that has exile target permanent you control, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If it enters as a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So these are going to be very helpful because, in addition to our commander, these will allow us to protect another key creature on our board, perhaps one that we need for evasion to get in for that alpha strike. However, the most lasting form of protection is going to come with Elgod Shieldmate, a 2/3 human soldier for 3 in a blue that has Soulbond again, and as long as Elgod Shieldmate is paired with another creature, both creatures have Hexproof. So this is going to grant our commander that extremely important Hexproof, allowing it to stay protected from our opponent's effects, while we can just go crazy with our pump spells to absolutely demolish our opponents. And that is the Beamsplitter Mage deck. The Izzet Guild promises explosiveness, and this deck does not disappoint. It has a very specific direction that it wants to go, and with just a very small amount of support, it can really get out of hand. This deck is always going to be the boogeyman at the table, because with just a few cards in our hand, we can quickly go from 0 to lethal, and with 0 warning for our opponents. This deck is going to run us about $15.75, and check out the deck list in the description. Please like and subscribe, and come back next week when we're going to cover the Orzhov Guild.